Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So has the spring cleaning bug hit you yet? Usually I hear of Jewish people getting into the swing of Passover cleaning, well, sometimes weeks before the actual holiday of Pesach. But we have to do a little reality check. No, actually, I shouldn't say a reality check, a halakha check. Now, don't worry, I am not going to give you more to do. I am in fact going to tell you you get to do less. You see, many people confuse spring cleaning with Passover cleaning. When you are going through your linen cupboard, that is spring cleaning, not Passover cleaning. When you are hoovering up the crumbs on the floorboards of your car, that is Passover cleaning, not spring cleaning. When you have decided that you need to power wash your entire back patio, spring cleaning, not Passover cleaning. They are different things. Because in Passover, we are trying to get rid of chametz. Chametz is the technical term for that, which comes from the original 5 grains, which are wheat, barley, spelt, oats, and rye, many of which you probably don't even have in your house on a regular basis, although I did see spelt flour on the shelf the other day. Whereas spring cleaning is when you're trying to get rid of muck, dirt, junk, and other associated paraphernalia. You do not need to spring clean to do Passover cleaning. And having done spring cleaning does not excuse you from doing Passover cleaning. They are 2 distinct categories. And I recommend that right now you focus on Pesach and only Pesach cleaning. So I'm going to give you a quick reminder of the minimums that we do as part of our Passover preparatory cleaning. So we want to get rid of chametz. Well, first and foremost, that means that when we are checking out our property, we only have to check places that have ever had chametz. If you are not known for taking sandwiches into the back reaches of your walk-in closet, you do not need to go to the back reaches of your walk-in closet and check for chametz. Now, if you do like to adjourn there and have your sandwich, then yes, you are going to need that, give that a little bit of a check, but I'm willing to guess that most of us are okay on that. Likewise, if you have boxes in the garage that you have not opened for years, you do not need to check them for chametz. They haven't been used for years. On the other hand, if you are prone to eating in the car, like I just mentioned, then you are going to need to give that a little bit of a hoover, a little bit of a vacuum in order to pick up the extraneous crumbs that have gone on the floor, perhaps since last Pesach, depending upon how often you clean it out. When you're in your kitchen, you do not need to remove every single stain that's on the floor. You don't have to scrub every counter down until your fingers are bleeding. You just need to make sure that any actual crumbs of chametz, the size of an olive, have been removed. Now, I'm willing to wager again, most of you don't have crumbs that are about the size of the first digit of your thumb, just lying around your kitchen on a regular basis. Maybe, back in my college days, perhaps occasionally, but generally speaking now, no. And most of us don't. Certainly if you have pets, they make sure that those kinds of crumbs absolutely disappear. But that's all you need to get rid of. Spray another little bit of a Swiffer or slop the mop with bleach on the floor, and you are good to go. Likewise, open up your fridge, take things out that need to go away because they are chametz, throw them away, and give the fridge a wipe, and you're good. Your pots, your pans, well, there are ways to kosher them, and it's more detailed than I can give in just a short presentation. But if you're going to use them during Pesach, then you can make them kosher. Or if you're not going to use them, then you close them up, you tape off those cupboards so that you don't accidentally use them, and you sell the chametz through yours truly. Just contact me and I'll help you do that. So there are very simple things to do when it comes to get ready for Pesach. And you might be thinking, but Rabbi, why can't I do the spring cleaning on top of my Passover cleaning? Well, there are a couple of problems. One, if you exhaust yourself in spring cleaning, you may not have the energy necessary to do the actual Passover cleaning. Our tanks are not infinite, and sometimes they run dry just as we're getting to the actual significant work. Similarly, if you are exhausting yourself doing both spring cleaning and Pesach cleaning thoroughly, you may not have enough gas left in the tank to enjoy Pesach. You may come to loathe the holiday because of the burden that you have put upon yourself, and may resent all of the time and effort that you have to put in for this celebration. But you are failing to remember that much of that you chose to take on because what God has asked us to do is actually quite minimal. And that brings me to the third point of when we try to overlap these two types of cleanings. We sometimes forget which one was asked and which one we have chosen to do. And that's an important distinction. When we think that going through our linen cupboard, taking everything out, washing it, ironing it, and putting it away again is somehow serving God, we are actually imposing our own desires upon God, or sometimes our own regrets, and we are burdening ourselves with commandments that do not exist. Judaism demands that we know what has actually been commanded and what has not. The optional is certainly fine to do, but you must recognize it as such and not attribute it as being a commandment. As we read in the very famous section where Samuel is stripping the kingdom away from Saul, God does not want our sacrifices more than God wants our obedience. By actually doing the minimum that God has asked, we are showing that we are doing this because God has asked. It is a declaration, both in our reality as well as in our spirit, that I am doing this as a service to God, but I am only doing what God has asked so that it will be clear that it is a service to God and not just my own need to clean up other parts of the house. It is difficult sometimes to wrap our head around this, that doing less can be more, that by trimming our actions to be in line with what God has asked, rather than adding extraneous effort on top, we are in fact serving God in a more pure and in a more powerful way. But this is the teaching of our faith, and it is something that hopefully will give you a little bit more insight into what should be done for Pesach and what should not be done for Pesach. If you need additional guidelines and information, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to direct you to a lot of resources, some from me and some from many other wonderful resources around the world. With that, I will wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, and in anticipation of next week, a Chag Sameach.